Walk me through your experience, because I know what my experience was like.
Mm-hmm.
So you fly Toronto to New York. Christina comes with you,
Yeah.
getting it done by Dr. Kelly, and
Yeah.
then you go to the OR, the hospital, wherever it is. Take me through that from there.
Yeah, I just showed up to the hospital. I was one of the later times going in, so I couldn't eat all morning. That was like the worst part about it.
You
I
drink
didn't
water
go-
too?
What's that?
Any water or coffee?
I think they said I could have a little bit of water, but other than that, nothing. So that was the hardest part because I can't. I'm not one of these guys that can like not eat breakfast. I get super like grumpy if I don't eat. And I didn't go into the hospital until like 1 o'clock, I think it was. So Christina and I just kind of went for a little walk and had a nice little morning at the hotel. Went to the hospital, got all checked in, got in my outfit, whatever you call that. They had to come in, they had to shave my legs, which was also kind of devastating.
Why is that?
I don't know, it just looked hilarious. And they only shaved like the top part, so like the bottom part was still super hairy, so it just looked hilarious.
You ever seen the 40-Year-Old Virgin, Steve Carell?
I've seen it a long time ago.
When they wax them?
Yeah.
Kind of the same thing.
Yeah, so yeah, they come in and shave your legs, which is an interesting experience. And then they start drawing. Doc Kelly comes in and draws on you wherever he's gonna, do the incisions or whatever, and then you walk into the room, into the operating room, and the last thing I remember is putting you put your legs up onto this like machine or whatever, and that's the last thing I remember. They must have they slipped your meds into the IV bag, I think, when you get in there, because there's no mask or nothing. I just passed out. So and then you wake up, whatever. I think for me, because they did both at the same time, so it was I guess what they told me is that they have to do one side and then fully clean their whole room and all the equipment and sanitize everything before they do the other side. So I think I was out for like 7 or 8 hours in total, I believe is what they said. And I woke up and you're just in the operating room, and a real funny thing that happened was so they give you an epidural too. So they give you a big needle in your low back that numbs you from the waist down, and so Christina makes a joke that I had an epidural before she ever did. She had 2 natural births, so she likes to make fun of me for that, which is kind of funny. But so they come in afterwards and they go, "Wiggle your toes for me," and I couldn't, and I was like, "Whoa, what's going on here?" And they were like, "Yeah, it's okay. It's just the epidural hasn't worn off yet." And after that, it was the first stretch was certainly the hardest. Having both done at the same time, it was tough to walk. I was able to walk out of there the next day with 2 crutches and very slowly with a lot of help. But I never really needed a wheelchair or anything like that. And then just a lot of rest that first 12 or so days is a lot of rest. Crutches for, I want to say 4 or 5 weeks I was on crutches, and then slow increments after that. You kind of know the drill. And then, some of the big milestones were getting back on the ice for the first time was, I think, around 4 months post-surgery, just with like a tracksuit and skates and just kind of wheeling around out there.
I know you're sending me some clips. You going bar down,
Yeah,
goalie skate.
Well, after such a long time, that was like exhilarating for me to get back on the ice, even just in a tracksuit. And I had like player gloves and a player stick and helmet with a visor, and I felt like I was playing forward out there. So I made the most of it. I had a lot of fun in that stretch for sure. That's like the first big milestone, and then I think I did that for a month, 4 weeks in a tracksuit, and then I was able to put my gear on around 5 months post-surgery. And I think I got these timelines right. It all kind of blurred into one big period of time. But putting the gear on was the next milestone. But you stand up for, I think, 3 weeks or something like that. So full gear, but no butterfly, no pucks, anything like that. You're just skating for 3 weeks or so. And then I was able to try butterfly for the first time. I think I was around like 5.5 months, maybe something like that. Slowly ramp up from there, start taking shots, start dropping with some force, start trying the RVH. The RVH was the last thing I did.
The one thing that I'm having a hard time coming to terms with, at least like from hearing your stories, I know just having one hip done at a time, it was really hard those first 2-3 days after, where I'm putting maybe like 20% of the weight on the one leg and I'm very skeptical of it. But the other leg was 100%. So like all my weight goes on that one. That really kind of drove my rehab process. But for you not having that, I don't even know where to begin on that or like what that would feel like. But dude, 4 weeks is not bad.
Yeah, it's it was definitely not a great feeling as a 29-year-old man to be that kind of sedentary, I guess, for the first little bit. But in the grand scheme of things, it's definitely an advantage to get them both done at the same time, and in terms of timeline. And I think it probably helps you heal a little bit more down the middle too. You're not leaning into one leg or the other, because both sides are just as bad. So I think it helped in that respect as well. And my rehab process, I don't think could have gone any better with the team I had around me, Richie and Paul and Artie in Toronto. It's like I said earlier, it's just like they nailed it with the crew that they have there in Toronto. And I'm certainly not the only one to say that too. Those guys are the best. So I had a great rehab process and was able to play a couple games there, which was super exciting because I didn't really think I would be able to. And yeah, here we are now. I'm feeling my hips haven't felt this good in a long, long time. So I'm glad I pulled the trigger and got it done.
Would you agree with this statement that once you get it done, the only regret you end up having is that you wish you did it sooner because it feels so good?
It's tough. When you're trying to navigate an NHL career, it's tough to find the right time to do something like that. You never want to take too much time off at the wrong time. So that was definitely part of it. So do I wish I did it sooner? For my own quality of life, yeah. But as far as my career went, I don't know if there was a better time to do it. If you do it at the wrong time, it can really hinder your career. And if those prime like money making years, if you do it at the wrong time, you can take yourself out of it. Just at the worst time. So I don't know. I think I'm a believer in everything happens for a reason, and I think the timing worked out really well.
Well, I know, like in our conversations, you'd mentioned some other guys that had gone through the same surgery, like a Laurent Brossoit or like a Thatcher Demko, kind of giving you a little bit of guidance with that as well.
Yeah, I didn't talk to either of those guys, but I talked to a couple guys who did have it done, and I talked to my trainer Adam Francilia. He's out of Kelowna, and he's a big, he's kind of the goalie guru of training, and he has a lot of clients, and he knows both of those guys well, and so he was kind of involved in a lot of rehabs for this surgery, and he was a huge resource to have for me. Also having, Doc Kelly and his team, like they are literally the top of the food chain in terms of this surgery, and he's got his own team that deals with specifically hip rehab. So it's not like just a regular rehab therapist. It's very specific. It's very hip focused, and they obviously do a heck of a job. So I was very, very fortunate, and to this day feel very thankful to have had a guy like Doc Kelly be able to do the procedure, and to have the people around me that I did, both Doc Kelly's team and the Leafs guys. I couldn't have been in better hands. So to this day and forever, we'll be thankful for that.
And so if you back it up though, so the ankle issues you were having, the groin issues, all that stuff linked back to the hips?
Well, it's impossible to prove that. But yeah, I think when your hips stop working properly, you compensate in other areas for sure. So, I think that was probably something of what was going on. But again, I don't know anything, so I'm not smart enough to know anything about that. I just knew that, I was just getting hurt too much, and on plays that I felt like I shouldn't really be getting hurt on, and felt like it had something to do with like alignment or obviously the fact that I was compensating for the pain in my hips elsewhere. And so, yeah, just decided to finally pull the trigger and get it done. Happy I did.
Because I found through my experience, getting the first hip done, I remember like when I was kind of sobering up in the operating room, keep in mind I'm under a lot of drugs at the time, kind of sedated. My doc says you're going to start noticing some other things on the other side start to change and maybe some issues. And I'm thinking at the time, dude, I just got my first hip done. You're crazy, right? And then fast forward 5-6 months, the ankle issues started happening. I text you, and because you're the ankle doctor, you're like, oh yeah, I know exactly.
This was after your first surgery?
After the first one, yeah. Because on the first side, so I had my right hip done. I had so many groin and knee issues, and when the groin issues stopped, it just went all to the knee.
Was it on your right side or on your left side? The groin and knee issues?
On the right side.
On the same side as your surgery?
So up until January of 23, I never had an issue on my left side ever for anything. Right. Every injury was always on my right side. So get the hip done, and then all of a sudden my left ankle is killing me. And that one little spot kind of on the side, like the talus that you kind of helped me out with, any RVH integrations, sometimes when you go butterfly, you get too much far forward, starting to feel it. Mm-hmm. And then fast forward, we're at the point where I had to completely get rid of RVH integrations in practice, which was inspired by you. Just go boot on post, save some reps, and then save the actual hinging for games.
Right.
And then fast forward to the surgery now where I've gotten the other side done, those same ankle issues are gone. Keep in mind, I haven't skated yet, but those day-to-day same issues and same like feeling it that you described to me, that's gone. And maybe I can throw some video on the video version of the show too. My therapist, my physio guy, was taking me through a demonstration of how the internal rotation at the hip maxes out. So then the knee has to internally rotate, which is very unnatural. And then the ankle goes. And then at some point, we're maxed out and something has to take the strain. Yeah. Think of almost like the Titanic kind of splitting in half.
Right. And well, that RVH, that's probably, I would say, the hardest move that we do in goaltending. Or the double RVH is probably the hardest, or whatever you call that. What do you call it? The soft
seal, yeah.
Soft seal. Yeah, there's different kind of names for all this stuff, but when you're in the RVH, like your ankle, your knee, and your hip are cranked, right? So when your hip is not going, then you got to cover that hole somehow, right?
Hey, if you enjoyed this video, hit the subscribe button. We do a new podcast every single Sunday during the season called Sling the Biscuit. It is a non-mainstream hockey podcast, so we talk about my hockey career, the minor pros, Spain, the Fed, you name it, all the stuff that you won't hear in the mainstream news.
Music,
pop culture,
politics, a little bit.
Some politics. Thanks for watching this video, and we'll see you soon.